I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, I can turn it down.
Don't be too loud. As you noticed, there's nothing in my education is a business background. So everything I know about business, I've learned the hard way, I guess. Been practicing dentistry now for 12 years, running my practice. That's kind of where I've learned, I guess, the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts in business. How many of you, just so I can show of hands, anybody going to go into the healthcare field in this class? We've got one, good. What's your plans? Cool. Everyone else wanting to start businesses or interested in business, is that generally what we're looking at? Okay. So it's going to be kind of what I wish I would have known. You know, some people claim that experience, wisdom comes from experience, but usually experience comes from mistakes. And we learn from our mistakes and we figure things out. And I've made plenty of those on the business side of things. But I'm very happy to be here. A lot of what I'll go over is just kind of my story, the story of my dental practice. I'll share some things also that I'm passionate about and kind of give you some, I guess, my words of wisdom on that should be helpful in life and in business. Douglas Dentistry is my practice. I'm just down across from Los Amigos in the movie theater by the Therapy West. There's kind of a little plaza right down that way. That's where my dental practice is. So kind of just kick things off. When I was a senior in high school, I job shadowed an orthopedic surgeon. He was there in Richfield at the time. And I was very interested in medicine. I was very interested in possibly being an orthopedic surgeon. And even when I was in my mission, I still that was kind of my plan after my LDS mission was to come back and learn how to be a doctor and learn how to be a surgeon. So I started at SUU in 2000. So I'm pretty old. A lot of you guys probably weren't even born when I started school, but that's okay. I get to date myself all the time. And I was also part of the Rural Health Scholars, which they do have a chapter here at SNO. Very helpful organization. They kind of help you do some educational planning, career planning, so that you can prepare yourself to apply for professional schools and things like that. And I was job shadowing a lot of doctors at the time, trying to figure out, one, on your applications they ask you to shadow doctors and try to get some experience doing that. And I feel like it's a very effective way to learn if that's what you want to do. If you want to go into a business, talk to a business owner that's similar in your interest and ask them questions and actually see what they do. I had a few classmates, they started dental school, which is quite a path to get to just apply and get into dental school, and they quit like the first week because they were like, this isn't what I want to do. And I'm like, you should have known that a long time ago, because that's kind of an expensive game changer. But so it's important. I think you can't know everything from shadowing, but it's a good idea to kind of get your feet wet. Also, throughout this presentation, if you guys have questions, I'm wearing my pajamas today. I'm in between patients anyway, but very informal. If you guys have questions or any comments, I'm excited to learn from you guys. You guys probably have a better business background than I do, other than I've got some experience in it. But as far as the education side of it, I've had to just read books and read articles, and that's how I figured out business. Anyway, prior to taking the MCAT, which is the medical school entrance exam, I changed my mind. That explains the haircut, right? I didn't know what to do. I was like, this is my mid-college life crisis. I'm like, what am I going to do? Pulling my hair out, what I had left. Maybe that's why I don't have hair. But anyway, I was like, what am I going to do?
Colton,
yes?
Specifically, what led to you changing your mind, deciding you didn't want to do medicine?
I was shadowing a pediatrician. And I was like, because I kind of was like, no, maybe I want to work in a small area, a small community. Maybe I'll be a pediatrician. And it was like 8:30 at night during flu season, and all these kids were just screaming and crying. I was like, I don't want to be here at 8:30 at night. Like, so it was kind of like I started backpedaling a little bit. And I think initially I really wanted to be a surgeon. Yeah. And it was changing my mind. I was like, I don't know. I mean, it was like 12 years of school past bachelor's degree, and so I was like, I don't know, because that was the one thing that helped me when I talked to the orthopedic surgeon when I was in high school. He was about my age at the time. And he's like, I've been practicing for 2 years, so know what you're getting yourself into, and so he gave me some good advice. And so as I started second guessing things, some of his words to me helped me understand, hey, maybe I should look into some other things. So first words of advice is have a plan, and don't be afraid to change your plan. Okay, there's nothing wrong with changing plans. And you may have to rewrite your plan. You may have to modify your plan, and that's just kind of how life works. So have a plan, but don't be afraid to back out of your plan if things just don't feel right, or you're not. If it's not really what you want to do, then you can change. So I explored a lot of different options. My father-in-law is an attorney. My father was an educator, a principal. I looked into lots of different things. I had an uncle who was doing research for the BLM. I was like, okay, well, I've got this bachelor. I'm almost done with school. I've got this bachelor's degree. There's other things I can do. Funny enough, my mother-in-law, she said, well, why don't you be a dentist? Because my father-in-law, he was like, you like science a lot more than you're going to like law, so you probably won't really like what I do. And so he gave me some good advice and tried to help guide me a little bit. And my response was, why on earth would I want to put my hands in someone's mouth? Right? Well, those are my hands, okay? I put my hands in someone's mouth this morning, and it's not a big deal. I enjoy putting my hands in people's mouths, okay? And so I changed my plan. Pre-medicine, pre-dental, all pretty much the same path as far as the education that I had to get. So it really wasn't that big of a plan, big of a change, other than usually you apply for professional schools your junior year in college, so that you're accepted. They usually around December, January time is when they start accepting you into the schools, and then then you graduate and you go right into school. So I was a little behind. I ended up being a year behind, but it wasn't a big deal. It gave me a chance. I was in the military. I had to go do some training anyway, and we got into dental school. Started dental school in 2006. So there we are, graduating SUU, commissioning in the military. So I had enlisted first. Surprisingly enough, they trained me to be an interrogator. So I'm an interrogator dentist. Anyway, can I be any more intimidating, right? I mean, they didn't teach me. Anyway, I don't pull teeth to get information, right? So. Then I commissioned as an officer, and I'm a dental officer. So no more interrogating. I do ask questions, but no more interrogating, right? We moved out to Louisville area, bought a house. That's the white coat ceremony. We started dental school, and little did I know that I didn't know very much about dentistry either. I shadowed a dentist, and that's what helped me fall in love with dentistry. Is it helped me understand. Yes, I like the medicine side of this, and yes, I like the surgery side of this, and I like the restorative side of this. That first picture I showed, I just gave a guy 6 new teeth, and it's a fun experience. People hug me. I know you guys probably never hugged your dentist, but when you give people teeth or you give their smile back, it's rewarding. They give you hugs, they cry, and I really enjoy what I do. Not in a crazy, sick way do I enjoy what I do, but I really enjoy what I do. So, luckily I have great professors and great mentors at dental school. How many people perceive dentists like that? Come on, it's all right. You won't hurt my feelings. See, okay, good. We got one at least. He's honest, right? I kind of took it personal. I was like, you know what? I kind of made it one of my life goals is to change people's minds, change people's perceptions of dentists. And dentistry has come a long ways as far as the fear and the things that we're able to provide to help people deal with it. They helped me establish some goals and priorities. I was surprised. So most of the time in dental school, when I graduated dental school, there was about 80 in my class. So it was fun. It was like I did high school and I did college with big classes, and then I went back to like not even high school size class, and so it was fun. Got to know my classmates probably better than we should have known each other sometimes, but it was a wonderful experience. I still keep in touch with my classmates. But of the 80 of us, I would say half of my classmates went on to do what's called a general practice residency, just a little more education. Half of them went on to, so of that half, general practice residency, and then other residencies to become specialties, orthodontists, pediatric dentists, oral surgeons. The other half of us, usually most dentists, if their dad or their brother's a dentist, they'll come back and they'll work into a partnership. Most dentists will find a practice and work as an associate, where you basically make, pay-wise, they pay you a percentage of your production, and that's what most of my classmates did. There was 2 of us who started practice from scratch. So of the 80, 2 of us, and so I was just kind of like, I was probably a little naive, but I was like, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna start a practice. My dad was a high school principal. My mom was a 3rd grade teacher. I didn't have, luckily I had a good friend that was my orthodontist growing up that helped mentor me and things. But so first of all, I wanted to change people's perception of dentists. I wanted to be the happy, kind dentist that people weren't afraid of. And I was going to start my practice from scratch. So again, back to some words of advice. Whatever you do, and it doesn't have to be this type of education. If you're going to go into a career that requires some sort of trade, you get educated in that trade. But you've got to know what you're doing. I couldn't just start a dental practice without a dental degree. I had to have a license to practice dentistry. So get educated, and then find a mentor, and then find a way to improve your field, not just make money. And that, number 3, that's what's helped me, I think, continue to learn more about dentistry, and it's helped me feel, I guess, the rewards of dentistry, not just making money. Yes, we have to make money. We have to survive in this world. We have to make money. That's how the world goes around. But I will say I've done dentistry for beef and eggs and vegetables and work on my house, and so, but still, that's money, okay? But like I said, find ways, whatever business you go into, find ways to make it better. And you'll constantly be challenged to do better, and you won't ever really feel complacent in what you're doing. So happy, joyous day. Probably, I don't want to say it's the happiest day of my life, especially my wife's sitting here. My marriage was wedding was the happiest day of my life. And I have 6 kids, and so but this was one of the happiest days of our lives. Finally finished dental school, holding that piece of paper that proudly is on my wall at my office. We did it, okay? We conquered dental school. And so, I didn't write this word of advice, but don't let your career get in the way of letting life happen as well. If it's friendships, if it's marriage, if it's whatever it is, you got to do it too, okay? We have a short time that we live, and there's lots of things that we can enjoy, not just our job, okay? I'm very passionate about dentistry, but when it all boils down to it, it still is my job. And so there are other important things in my life, and we have to kind of find that balance. So let's see. Had great help from an orthodontist. Started my practice, it was actually over in Manti. Dr. Oldroyd was a mentor that helped me out a lot. In fact, he was kind of the community figure when I was growing up, that I was like, I want to be like him. I want I want to work in a small town. I want people to know me. I want people that when they see me out and about, some people see me out and about, they run from me, but I want to be part of the community. So I've coached basketball at Mantua High School now for 11 years. This is my second year helping with the track team. So I do other things. I remember I was at church and I ran into this little boy that he'd come to my office. And he might have been a little younger than my daughter here. And he looked up at me and he's like, I know you. And I said, yeah. And he said, well, what are you doing here? Or why aren't you at jobs? So make sure you live outside of your career. Started my practice from scratch. My mom was like my first patient, bless her heart. And we began to build. Family members would come, and I had one employee. She answered the phone for me, and she assisted me, and there was the first few weeks, months, we sat there sometimes looking at each other, waiting for someone to call or come in. So it was, when I look back on that, and I kind of think, that was quite a bold move. It's definitely worked out, but it was a bold move, and it was scary at times, and there wasn't a whole lot of money involved. I would have made more money working as an associate or finding a partner, but it worked out. So we hit up the parades. I did throw candy at the parades, but we tried to get my name out. And so, marketing, I'm sure you guys are probably better involved as far as understanding marketing, but it's important. If you start something from scratch, people need to know that you're there. I still, 11 years from now, still get a few people, even in the area, like, oh, I didn't even know you were here, and we market. I wouldn't say I'm an aggressive marketer, but you may hear a radio ad from us, or, we do some marketing to try to continue to get our name out. And there's definitely difference between a rural area and an urban area as far as what I would have to market as a dentist. But we do some marketing. We drive my father-in-law's cool car and throw candy at people at parades. Sorry, this picture's a little blurry, but my dad and I made that sign. Okay, so we made it. I can't remember, I bought some vinyl sign and we put a border around it and we tacked it on the wall, and there we were. We were building a practice. Very small, it's a satellite orthodontist office, had 2 chairs. You can see possibly 3 chairs there, but the one in the middle was more of just an orthodontic chair. There wasn't any dental drills or anything hooked to it. So small little practice, but it worked as we began to establish my name and get patients and create a business. So again here, don't be afraid to make bold moves. Be intelligent in your bold moves and stay within your means, and don't be afraid to start small and grow. A lot of the equipment, banks weren't willing to give me a lot of money when I first got out of dental school. My loan was really, really quite small, and I had to figure out how to squeeze, and I was able to buy some, there's dental equipment. Obviously there's, disposable things that dentists use, but like a forceps that we use for taking out teeth, those are, we sterilize them. And so I bought some used equipment. I had to start things and keep things pretty simple. My biggest expense when I first opened my practice was digital radiography. There, you saw in that little room, that was my lab, that upper corner. There was no place to put, most all dentists now have digital x-rays, but in the old days we had to put them in a machine to process film. Well, there was no space for anything to process film. So my biggest expense was a panoramic x-ray machine that spins around your head and takes, so we can see your wisdom teeth and your whole jaw, and a little sensor that unfortunately are about $12,000, but they take good pictures of teeth. And dental software, and so computers and things like that. So I worked in this office for 2 years. The orthodontist would come in, I think, twice, maybe 3. I think it helped build his practice quite a bit too, because the office was open more for him. He came in 3 days a month. I didn't work those days, and that's how we built. So don't be afraid to start small. And one word of advice at dental school they gave us was to live like a student for 5 years after you graduate, and that helped us as well. So when you start becoming successful, just because you have money doesn't mean you should always spend it. So be smart with it and budget and save and plan. So don't be afraid to start small and grow from there. Later, about 2 years in, we took out a larger loan. Banks were a little more willing to give me money when they could see that we had some time behind it. We had some actual financial, I had data that I could show them that we were growing. And we built out a bigger office over here in Ephraim. I found an office space that we could renovate. And they started the process. It was 2 office spaces, they gutted it out, and we started the process of building the practice, which was quite stressful, but very exciting to see the practice progress. Happy day when we opened up that, I think it's been 10 years now already. And we now have our dental practice over here at Ephraim, a lot more space. In fact, we just, it's been rewarding to see how it's grown. It's been very rewarding for the associations I've gained with my patients, and that they can keep coming back. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to be a dentist and work in a small town, was just, it's fun I've seen little kids that are now married and they bring their little kids to me. I've done it long enough and that's been really rewarding. In fact, I saw a patient this morning with her little boy. She just brought it for the first time, first visit to the dentist. And it's rewarding. And again, my goal is to not be Steve Martin dentist and kick people in the chest. Well, when a mom came to me as a child, and now she's a mom, she brings her child to me, I feel like it's working. Whatever we're striving to, that's been my life goal, again, to not make people afraid of the dentist. So over the last 2 years, we added dental hygienists. We added our 4th operatory, and we still have goals. One of my current goals is to create a nonprofit service organization where we can go to other countries and provide dental care, which I have done through the military and through the LDS Church a little bit, but I kind of want to grow that. When I get done, my wife says I have too many hobbies, so when I get done with one of my hobbies, maybe I can step in and do a little more of the nonprofit and try to do some service missions. One thing that I learned really fast, and I guess this would be one of my learning moments, but we always talk about COVID-19. But when that hit and they started restricting actually what we could do, it was scary. As my practice has grown, I've had an opportunity to actually buy the building that I'm in. I signed the papers for that building, when did it go? Was it COVID? It was 2020, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, March.
I signed that paper January. A $600,000 loan on this building. COVID hit, and I was like, oh man. And and like I was saying earlier, when we start making money, we need to make sure that we're preparing. We're putting a little bit away so that we're prepared for rainy days. And I wasn't as prepared as I should have been, and so it was pretty scary. We made it through just fine, but I had just recently hired some hygienists that I had to lay off, and that wasn't fun either. And my other, and so you never know what may hit. And so it's always smart, obviously, when you're starting to practice and you're trying to feed your family and you're trying to do things, or you start a business, you have to spend the money, but make sure you're putting a little bit away so that if you have a bad month or a rough month or a rough 6 months or a rough 3 years, that you can still pay for your bills and you can keep things.
Like the government shutting down.
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't like I couldn't work. I was ready to work. And they told us we couldn't see patients. They left it somewhat open to interpretation, and I interpreted it. But they said urgent and emergency dental treatment is all I could do. So anyway, be ready for rainy days, and don't. I had classmates that they drive really cool cars out of dental school, and maybe it worked for them. I drove a really crappy car for a long time, and that's okay. It still drove me down the road. So as we kind of got over words of advice, now I'm just going to show you some pictures of some of the things that I'm actually really passionate about. These are just kind of a review of what we've gone over. Have a plan. Don't be afraid to change your plans. Make sure you get yourself educated. And again, it doesn't have to be a formal education, just training in what you do. Find a mentor. Find a way to improve your field, not just make money. Don't be afraid to make bold moves, but stay within your means. Start small and grow. And then from here, continue to educate yourself. Don't ever, you know, one big thing that helped me, and I did it right when I graduated from dental school, is I went and did a sedation course. Okay, so in our office, we have laughing gas, we have movies that and that's half the time my little kid comes in and I don't have to even sedate them. I put a movie up and their mouth opens and they're zoned in and I can do what I need to do. But we do sedation for kids. One thing that's been really rewarding for me, I've done it for about the last 8 years. I go to both Gunnison Valley Hospital, Sanpete Valley Hospital, and I treat patients in the hospital. So I've never felt like my change of plans to become a dentist was like a step down from being a real doctor or a surgeon. I've been very pleased. I get to work in a hospital still. And so, like again, don't be afraid to change your plans. Find it. So, you guys have probably heard this before. Find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And I don't buy into it, okay? We can be passionate about what we do, but it's still a job. So make sure you find other things you're passionate about. There are so many ways in this world, either through our church, our churches that we attend, we can offer service to people through that. But I do enjoy going to work every day. I'm very pleased and happy that I can say that. But it may not be because of the money. It's because of the associations and friendships that I have. And then, you know, I said find a mentor, but be a mentor. The military has given me opportunities to mentor some of my colleagues that are recent graduates from dental school. I mean, we bounce ideas off each other all the time. Work hard, play hard, but give back. Keep your priorities straight and never compromise your integrity. Always just do the right thing. You know, people get themselves into trouble all the time. If they would just think through a little bit and not compromise what they know is the right thing to do, you don't go to jail, right? And you can feel good, sleep at night. So, perspective and priorities, okay? I love being a dentist, but it's not the only title I have. Okay, I'm a dad, I'm a brother, I'm a husband, I'm a father. I'm a coach, I'm an officer in the Army. There's lots of things that we can do that also give us that's rewarding. I love coaching basketball. I'm probably too passionate about it. Get up at 5 in the morning to go coach a bunch of freshman boys, and I enjoy it. This was my first. So now you're going to see a lot of military pictures. It's not a recruiting. I'm not trying to recruit you. I'm just showing you being a dentist and the opportunity in the military has given me to serve. Okay, this is my first trip to Morocco. This was back in 2015, and that's a C-17 refueling jet. And I flew to Morocco in one. So the experience was like flying to Morocco in the back of a pickup truck. But we did it, and it was great. Okay, there was no seats and it was cold. And it was like 13 hours, but we did it. Okay. This was us in Morocco. Awesome country, awesome experience to serve and help the people there. Very fascinating to understand a different culture, eat their foods. I'm kind of a foodie, and so I enjoy eating other people's foods. So, got to meet the guy, the thumbs up guy. He's a dentist in Morocco, pediatric dentist. He was amazing because we were like, man, if we just had some midazolam or some Versed or we could just sedate this kid. He would sing these little songs to him, and he didn't need any sedation. He said, I don't use sedation. He would sing these little songs to these kids, and I don't know, maybe it was because I was just a big dumb American that the kids were afraid of me. But man, he could work miracles. It was impressive to watch him work. And then I was able to go to Belize and see cute little kids and help them out and help them not to be scared of the dentist and maybe not be scared of Americans. Pulling teeth, floating down the river into a cave, a lot of cool things I got to experience. eat amazing Army food. So this is my recruiting tape of this is the food you could eat.
Delicious.
Okay? It was not good. That bread was like eating like a shingle. That's oatmeal. Okay, but we ate it. Is that an MRE? And then I was able to go back to Morocco 2018. I'm actually going back to Morocco in a couple months. That's the Kingdom of Morocco. So we have it's a kingdom. Did a lot of great service in Morocco as well. Very, very satisfying. Happy. I'm very happy when I get to go to do those missions. As you can see, we pulled a lot of teeth. Last time we were in Morocco, we pulled 1,000 teeth in 8 days. So we got it done, right? But we also, this kid came in, kind of smiling like this, the old tooth broke, I'm not going to show anybody. Didn't want to smile. We fixed him up. You can see him smiling. Another fun thing working in the military, that's a medic. He's a combat medic. He's not a dental assistant. And he was just like blown away that I just made a tooth. And so it's fun and rewarding to kind of help these guys cross-train and learn a little bit. But he was thrilled. This kid was thrilled, ready to go out. And I think he broke his tooth playing soccer. I'm sure he went out. Hopefully he didn't break it again. But we got him fixed up. But this was the Moroccan food I got to eat. A lot better than my Army food in Belize. Got to go to Paris. Just beautiful. Morocco is a beautiful country. That picture there on the right, that's Morocco. So, let me see. How much time do I have?
About 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, you want to see me ride a camel? You gotta ride a camel in Morocco. Maybe you don't want to. Did you want to see it? Yeah. Okay. I gotta first show this camel ride. It's impressive. This is not how I rode the camel. This is how not to ride a camel. Have anyone seen this one? All right.
Everything is great.
But camels, when they take off, they do take off. And you're ready for it. So, as you watch this movie, this video, there's 2 important business things you can learn from here. One, sometimes it's awful to be a camel, right? You're going to get fast, you're going to feel like you got the weight of the world on you. 2, you just got to hold on, right? You got to hold on and fight through it. Okay? So that's how not to ride a camel. Feel bad for the camel. You got worked. Let's see. All right. Oh, I was going to show this too. So, the other rewarding thing, this was people waiting to come and see us in Morocco. Okay, and there was another 1,000 on the other side. Okay, that was a daily. So this mission I went on, it wasn't just dentistry. They were delivering babies. They were doing. It was awesome. Okay, it was like a huge. I don't know. You guys are all way too young. I'm even too young for MASH, but it was like a big tent hospital that we had set up, and they had an OR. We were doing all sorts of surgeries. The dental wing. They had women's health, pediatric optometry. So these people. We saw that many people every day. Dental-wise, we saw about 150 every day. Let me show you. All right, I'm not quite as technical savvy as all you guys probably are. Here's how you ride a camel. Okay? But notice, he does about dump you on your nose. So that's me riding a camel. Anyway, fun times.
Woo! Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
Got it done. I didn't have to kill the camel or fall on my face.
I want to put it to a soundtrack, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much laughing gas did you need to inhale before you got on that camel?
Unfortunately, we didn't have laughing gas. A couple other things military, we were able to go out to it was like a powwow and provide dental screenings. I've jumped out of perfectly good airplanes. The airplane had landing gear, and I had a parachute strapped on my back, made by the cheapest bidder, right? Good times. And you look up and there's a panel missing, and you're like, oh, that's great. So these are my mentors. These guys have helped me. It's been great. When I started my practice, I did feel like I was on an island a little bit. The other two dentists in town, there was three. There was a dad and his two sons. They've been great to me. We've never really, we help each other out. We cover for each other sometimes and borrow each other's stuff if we need to. So I've never felt like it was like this competition thing with the other dental practice in town. But I was able to bounce all sorts of ideas off these guys, send them x-rays, ask them questions, and they helped me learn and improve my skills as a dentist. Let's see. Another awesome opportunity, my son and I, we went down to Guatemala and we provided humanitarian aid. And that's really where I'm hoping to try to grow into a nonprofit where we can go down once a year. We went down, it was with the LDS church. They have service missionaries. They had 3 couples that were dentists that were down there. We went into this clinic and did a lot of work. We can, sorry if you get a little queasy because you're looking at teeth, but you can see, before, after, we were able to help people out so they could smile a little bit better. Okay, so I've kind of shotgunned, I've been talking probably too long. Anyone have any questions? I remember my father-in-law, he's an attorney, but he was studying accounting, and he would always do our taxes when we first, I don't know if it was to make sure I was taking care of his daughter, or if he was trying to help me out with my taxes, but usually we take all of our tax documents to him and do our taxes. It was easy. Well, in your own business, taxes suddenly aren't as easy. And I started in July 2010, and I literally had a shoebox full of my receipts. And I took it to my father-in-law, and he looked at me and he said, "It's time for you to get an accountant." And I called the accountant and I was like, "Ben, I can't get these letters from the IRS, right? So here's my learning, here's how I'm teaching you now, okay? And I'm paying, I keep paying, I pay the taxes. I have my father-in-law, his girl in his office is helping me calculate, we're paying everything, but I can't get these letters." He was like, "Well, if you send them your statement, like you got to send them documentation, not just a check." And I was like, "No." So he helped me out a lot. Okay, there was no more shoebox. It was, but I have had to learn a lot about accounting, bookkeeping. Taxes are a nightmare. It's tax season right now. I'm waiting for that dreaded call from my accountant to say, "Are you sitting down? And how much I owe," or whatever it is. But that was one big thing. I was like, "Whoa, this was overwhelming." So don't be afraid to get help. Get an accountant, work with an accountant so they can help you understand and do things legally and try to help save your money. Nothing wrong with, no one wants to overpay. In fact, they keep it usually if you overpay.
So when you take out a $600,000 business loan, what is the plan to paying that off look like?
So right now, I have one other renter in that building, and I have some, and I had to create another entity. A lot of times that's what businesses will do. If just for a little tax advice, if Douglas Dentistry was to own that building, the only tax write-off I would get is the mortgage interest. But if Douglas Dentistry pays rent, I write off all rent. So obviously it's a good business strategy to actually rent from yourself. But Douglas Dentistry is renting from CCD Development, which is not illegal. It's just a red. The IRS understands that's what we're doing. So right now the plan is to possibly put some apartments or some other means of income in the basement of that building, so I can have a little more to pay on that to get the mortgage paid down. So yes, got to pay for it. Any other questions? Did that answer your question?
Oh yeah.
Ish.
I guess, yeah, ish. I was kind of curious.
It was a mortgage, just like any other, almost like a house. I mean, when it's a property. So that helped me as Douglas Dentistry has grown. Now I'm dabbling a little more in real estate. That's my only real estate investment right now. But it is a good form of some sort of passive income where you can make money by being a renter or whatever. Yes.
Do you plan on expanding?
Yes and no, I don't know. I like, my biggest worry about expand, I feel like my practice is, and my staff does a wonderful job at trying to keep it very, I don't want to say intimate, but just that I worry if I expand, maybe I'll lose the character that I have developed hard and worked hard to develop as far as dentistry and how I want things to go. And I don't have time. Expansion, maybe a partner, yes, that could be a possibility. Having other buildings, I don't know, because it's a lot of work, and my practice is providing everything I need currently. But that's a great question, and yes, I have thought about it. There's a lot of opportunities for dentists that, in fact, my brother-in-law works for a practice that his partner is very entrepreneurial dentist, as far as he has practices all over where he hardly even practices dentistry. He just is a businessman running dental practices. So there is that possibility of trying to do that. Currently, I enjoy the life I have. I don't know if I want to. I don't know how much more hair that, the hair I have started to turn gray, and anyway, so. But yes, I mean, that's always a possibility. I would love for one of my children or someone I know to come in and be a partner and then buy me out or whatever down the road. But currently not really thinking of expansion.
We need to wrap up. So
Okay.
thank you. That was excellent.